BABSCon, the Thunder from Down Under, Belle Newton!
Me.
Next up, it is also his first time at BABSCon. He is the voice of Iron Will, Hoity Toity Fancy Pants, and good old Rocket Raccoon on Guardians of the Galaxy, among many other things. He is the one and only Trevor Duvall! Making her return to BABSCon for the first time since 2016, I believe. The voice of Starlight Glimmer, the voice of Barbie, the voice of so many people you love. She is Kelly Sheridan! Next up, one of our regulars. We have her here often because we love her and you love her. She's the voice of Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and so many more. Andrea Libman! And last but never least, making his first appearance at BABSCon, the voice of Discord, Q from Star Trek, more roles than I can even shake a stick at, a very classy gentleman, Mr. John DeLancie! And this one's for the Twitter feed. All right. So, I understand you folks all work on a show about ponies. Is that true?
Rings a bell.
Yeah, you got to be strange to do that. Okay, let's get some answers to some questions. How are you all liking BABSCon so far, you guys?
Woo! A hearty woo.
That's awesome. Can I ask a question to the audience?
Yeah. Do it.
Who slept last night? Oh, you guys are doing well. Who didn't sleep last night? Okay, yeah. So just take note. Those are the ones you're going to be scooping off the hallway floor. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Everyone's eaten today. Some breakfast.
That's very maternal of you.
Yeah, no, I like to take. It's the Saturday. Well, the Sunday's grim. That's not even kidding. But that's good. That's good.
Okay, so question for Bill. You're the newcomer to this group.
I am.
How has it been integrating yourself with the My Little Pony cast and crew and getting to know everybody?
It's genuinely been amazing. Right? It's genuinely been amazing. The cast and the crew, all the folks that work on the show, everybody I've met as a part of the show, have been so welcoming and lovely. It's one of those moments, and it sounds sappy, but I was actually talking to a friend of mine last night that when I hang out with the folks that do this show, it reminds me why I do what I do. It was sort of, like, it just feels right. It's true!
And what about you, Trevor? Now, if folks don't know this, Trevor was based in Vancouver for the longest time and now is based in LA. He's doing a lot of wonderful work for...
Traitor!
Yeah. How has it been for you trying to reintegrate when you record for Pony? Do you actually record back in Vancouver these days when you do the show, or are you doing it remotely like Tara does?
Kind of both.
Oh yeah.
So
tell us a little bit about that. How does that make it difficult or easy or both?
Well, I go up as much as I can, but I'm pretty busy down here these days, so I don't have a lot of opportunity to.
Really? Do you have any new projects?
Well, I was just announced as Claw on Lego Black Panther. That's new. I can talk about. I get to bust out my Johannesburg accent for that one. It's quite. I rather like the sound of that guy.
It's also my friend.
That's right, my friend. That's right. There's a guy that we work with who's South African named Henning. Back home, Henny Britain. And they always said to me, Trevor, make certain, man, when you go down to Los Angeles, you always get your colorful socks. Because the girls down there, they like the colorful socks. So to this day, I wear colorful socks every day, and it's all thanks to my South African friend Henny. Anyway, I get up to Vancouver as much as I can, but when I can't, I have to do it remotely, which is never as fun, but as long as it gets the job done, everything's fine. What's that? I heard a voice crying in the wilderness. Anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about you, Joe.
Well, how about you, John? How do you find the experience of working remotely with the My Little Pony cast? Do you mostly see them here at these conventions, or what?
Oh, yeah, I only see them here at these conventions because I'm just, the few shows that I do are done in a booth, and there's the engineer, and then people on disembodied speakers that I'm talking to in is it Vancouver? Yeah, I don't even know where they could be on the moon. So yes, this is the social part of the event.
Yeah, most people may not know this. You come to the conventions, you see a lot of these folks, and you just get the feeling that they just spend all their days in a building together. It's not even true at all. A lot of the My Little Pony crew, like for example, the writers, some of the voice actors, etc., don't even work in LA or Vancouver. They're all over the place. So yeah, a lot at the conventions is one of the rare times they get to socialize. So that's why we're always pleased to bring as many of them to you as possible, so that they can talk. That's really the important thing.
We're pleased too, because voiceover can be so lonely.
Now there have been, I presume everyone's seen the season 8 premiere, yeah. Can the veterans in the cast, Andrea and now Kelly, you're a veteran now, you count.
I am?
You are!
You do in fact count.
How's it been working with all the new voice actors? Tell us about some of those folks.
Oh, they're great. It's like... And you say, oh, they're awful.
No, tell us what you really think.
They're great. A lot of them, it's maybe not their first gig, but one of their first gigs. So it's always really, you can get a little jaded, and so it's always fun to see people who are super excited about coming in to record their first cartoon, and especially one that's at the caliber that My Little Pony is. So yeah, they're awesome. They're all kind of buddies themselves and super talented. Yeah, I'm excited to see this season.
So do you still feel like the newbie yourself, though, given that Starlight's only been there since season 5?
Andrea says no.
Among the cast, not in voice acting.
I will speak for how Kelly feels.
No, I feel like I'm one of the gang. But it's still, getting to work with these fantastic actresses, it's always fun just getting to kind of sit in the corner and watch them do their magic.
So I have a question for each person on the panel. If you could give your favorite thing about working on My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic, what would that thing be? We'll start at the end with John. We'll work back toward Bill. No pressure.
So if I say that again.
What is your favorite aspect of working on this show?
Well, my favorite aspect is actually, and I know it's going to sound, when you do a theater show, okay, you finish the show at night, and you get out of costume and out of makeup, and you go to the stage door to leave to go back home, and there are a few people there who want an autograph and often want to ask a few questions about the show. This is an extension of that. So the show becomes less important to me as time goes on, and the interaction becomes more important. I dare say it's probably the same for everybody here, and maybe even more accentuated for me because I do so few of them. I don't really remember them. I do it, I prepare it, it takes me a couple of hours the night before, I come in, it takes an hour or so in the booth, and then that's sort of it. So it comes all back here. This is where it all comes back. And so that's the best part of the show for me.
How do you follow that? The best part of the show for me is still, I love recording together as an ensemble cast. It's so much fun. I love reading my script beforehand, but then being surprised every time I go in to see what the other performers are going to come up with, how they're going to interpret their characters. I'm always delighted by what they come up with, and it inspires me in my performance. And I just love that camaraderie and kind of the team feeling of putting it all together. And because we've been doing the show for so long, we get to collaborate. We are allowed to make suggestions for what we think our characters should do. If we want to change a line, they let us, which is very unusual and unique. And so I love being a part of the process.
I'm not even going to try to follow either of those. I'm just going to say that Tabitha brings in free cookies to the recipe. That's my dream.
Yeah, I like the ginger snap ones.
And bundt cake occasionally as well.
She eats breakfast at like 3 in the morning. So by the time she gets to session, she's having lunch, and it's at 9 a.m.
So wait, is Tabitha a hobbit or just a serial baker?
Can it be both?
It can always be both.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she never eats it. She never
Right.
eats it. Like, she eats a very clean, healthy diet, but she likes bringing in. She likes
Fatten her
fatten us up, I guess. Some weird ritual she's about to conduct.
Yeah, obviously what everybody else said is true. As John says, you know, we do a show and then a year later, somehow, by some magic, it's on television. So yeah, we tend to forget a lot about, oh yeah, that show I did a year and a half ago. For me, the best part about doing the show is being able to come home and play in the sandbox with my old family up in Vancouver, you know, and because they're some of the best in the world, and it's always an honor to be able to be in a room with them. So yeah, just the people I work with up there, it's the best part, yeah. Oh, and you guys are okay too, I guess. I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah, I thought going at the end would give me time to think, but everything that I was going to say has sort of been said. But I will just sort of expand on that, what John said, what Andrea said as well. The collaboration with the cast does feel, it actually feels like a theatre show at times when we get to do it in the room together. But also sort of expanding on what John said, the interaction with people, some of the people that I've met and the interactions that I've had with folks after becoming a part of the community have been some of the most positive experiences I've had in my adult life. And so that kind of community, this kind of community has really sort of shown me what the work that we do can do for people. It can be a little too easy to be so distanced from something and you know, maybe just think about the industry as a job or as the work that we do, and then that can jade you, I think, if you just sort of think about it like a regular job. But when we get to interact with you folks at various events or on social media, it really changes my perspective, and I'm sure that it changes everybody's perspective on what it is we do.
So long story short, they love you guys. Give yourselves a hand. But given that, why don't each of you share with us just an amusing story of just anything an amusing story of being at a con or meeting a fan? Just tell us about an interaction that left you feeling pretty good. Who wants to dive? I'll just let anybody dive in.
I'll fall on the sword first. What Bill just said about the effect that we have on fans, sometimes it's easy for us to forget. I was at a convention years ago, I forget where it was, Colorado or something, and these two guys came up to me, sort of mid-20s, and I could tell one of them was very, very, very shy. That's fine, so I was talking to them, and he was very, very interested in a show I did called Gundam Seed. He was a big fan of Gundam Seed. And you're not here, are you? The person who likes the show. Anyway, so he came up to me and like I said, he was extremely shy, but you know, he was really happy to be there, and we talked and chatted for a few minutes, and I signed some stuff for him and sent him on his way. And a couple days later, I get an email from his brother saying, "Oh, Mr. Duvall, I want to thank you so much because my brother is severely autistic, and the only way he can communicate with us, his own family, is through his love of anime. So when he heard that you were going to be at this show, he was waiting for 8 months for the opportunity to just meet you and shake your hand. And so I just want to thank you for that." And at that moment, I went, "Oh, wow, we really have like an effect on regular, real people." And that was a big moment for me. That was like, oh, yeah, okay, we're doing some good out there. You know, so that was really cool. That was really cool. Yeah.
Anyone else have any funny fan stories or funny con stories?
Oh, was that supposed to be funny? Sorry.
No, I mean, it can be funny, it can be heartfelt, it can be whatever.
Oh, okay, I got heartfelt then. I haven't been to many cons, so this interaction was actually entirely on social media, but it was through the fandom. And it was when a friend of mine that I've known for years contacted me on Twitter, and we were just talking. And she knows that I've done voices on My Little Pony, and she told me about a friend of hers whose daughter, Anna, was being bullied. Anna is 11 years old, and was being bullied by her schoolmates for liking My Little Pony. They were basically saying that, you know, you're too old, that's baby stuff. And my first thought was, I'm pretty sure that's the target demographic. That's crazy. And second of all, I thought, who are they to tell you what you like? And so, for the first time in my professional career, I thought I might have an opportunity to be able to do something and help. And so I reached out to a few people, and Andrea and Kelly retweeted my message, and I made a little video doing some of the characters that I do on the show. And a lot of like artists in the community have volunteered artwork, and we're currently trying to organize to get Anna to My Little Pony convention, but already she's seen the messages, and I was told that, you know, she was crying and laughing and just super happy, and that was the first time that I felt like I was able to do something good. I had the ability to use what I had to be able to make a difference for somebody, and I know that that's not a unique story. There are plenty of people who, in various fandoms, you know, get bullied and teased about what they like, you know, that it's considered for children or it's not cool or whatever it is. And, you know, I went through that as a child. I'm sure many people in this room have and maybe still do. And I just felt that I owed it to Anna and my younger self because I just saw too much of that and I wanted to do something about it. So that was just an amazing, it was so overwhelming the first couple of days when people responded. I couldn't believe it. So that's mine.
Hilarious story.
Yeah.
Some interesting fan stories?
I don't know if I have one specific story. I mean, you guys are really funny as a group, and so silly, funny stuff is happening all the time. I guess I've signed some weird stuff, some funny, weird things. I signed a giant stuffed salmon once. And I asked the guy, yeah, super awesome. He just plunked it down on the table, and I was like, whoa, so what's the story behind this? He's like, I don't know, I just like salmon.
I had laser eye surgery a week ago. That's why I'm so cool right now.
So you can shoot lasers out of your eyes?
Kelly did a good job of having a funny story. I can't think of anything funny.
Kelly come up with another.
Yeah, I know, she's so good. Yesterday, I had a really nice, touching moment meeting somebody, and they had met every one of the main 6, the voice actors, and I was the final piece to the puzzle, and he just burst into tears. Just so happy. And when someone's really happy, it's contagious, and I love meeting each and every one of you. It's amazing. So it's not funny at all.
I have a question for you, John, a specific question. You were famously quoted as saying that when you were hired for Star Trek back in the 80s, that Gene Roddenberry warned you about the Trekkies, but holy howdy, nobody warned you about the bronies. So my question is this: how would you contrast and compare your experiences with the Trekkie fandom versus the brony fandom?
In front of a room full of bronies.
Well, I was really interested in, I worked with, yes, Gene Roddenberry said to me as I was shooting the first show of Next Generation, I think he liked what I was doing, and there was this disembodied voice behind me a couple of days in who said, "You have no idea what you've gotten yourself into." And I turned around and I said, "Gene, what are you talking about?" And he said, "Oh, you will see." And he's right. He's right. I had a company. I created a company after directing for a company called LA Theater Works. I created a company called Alien Voices. And I invited Leonard Nimoy to be part of it. And Leonard and I talked a lot about when did you realize that you realized you were on a sort of failed television show that lasted 1 year, second year they were going to cancel you, you got a third year and that was it, and then you were back out in the world. When did you realize that something was beginning to happen? And that was when they got asked to come to somebody's house and sit to have like just a little group of 20 Star Trek fans, or to come to a restaurant, and then to come to a larger, a meeting like this. And they began to understand that something was happening. Well, I did My Little Pony, which, by the way, my agent said, you have an offer to do. That's how it went in my ear. Because I didn't care what the name was. I just wanted to get to what, the most important stuff. Which is always, I need to see the material, how much and when. Those are the three questions. And sometimes where. And I did the show. I went in, I read it. I went, well, this is very well written and great. A couple of months later, I've heard the story, a couple of months later, I get all these emails. And I'm looking at my call up to my wife and I'm going, what is this? MLP? My Little Pony? What is that? She goes, well, it's a cartoon that you did a couple of months ago, and it's a cartoon for little girls. And I said, well, these are not little girls. And I was up in Vancouver, and a friend of mine came over that night and said, we should do a documentary on this. And I said, I am not touching this with a 10-foot pole. I have no idea what this means, and it would be presumptuous. And a couple of weeks later, I was up in Vancouver shooting, and some kids came up to me, and they asked for an autograph. And that's when I began to go, what is going on here? And I felt like I was back to where Leonard Nimoy was, that I began to feel that 10 days I was up in Vancouver, I don't know, a half a dozen people came up to me and asked for them for My Little Pony. And I go, why are you watching this? You're 30 years old. And just that's when I began to understand, oh, something is happening. And I think what's happening is really great, because back in 1968 or whatever it was, when Star Trek was over, you were either fans were about mostly sports, and then there was sort of nothing else. So those of us who were interested in science fiction and things like that, we were kind of privately interested. And Star Trek created this umbrella an umbrella that you could come in and get out from under, you know, under the glare of the sun, and you could be in the shade, and you could be interested in science and fiction writing and makeup, and you know, and in my room I had all of these monster makeups and things like that, pictures of that, and that was that umbrella. I think My Little Pony, especially with the bronies, has offered a new umbrella, a new tent, where a lot of people can get into under that tent and find sanctuary and find community and find interest. And what I remember when we in fact created this little documentary, one of the things which I was so interested in was that seeing a young man and thinking to myself, oh, he's so kind of isolated, he's so alone, and you know, it had felt sad. And I didn't realize that what he does is that he goes upstairs and boom, 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 3 screens come on. And he has his friend in Sri Lanka and Germany and Scotland, and they're all talking about this show and they're creating things. I went, okay, there we go. Pretty cool.
Okay, so we're getting to the point where we're gonna start the Q&A shortly for you guys. So
Can we see them? Can you have the lights so that we can see them?
yeah, can we do that? There's some shuffling going on over in AV
So
land.
that I can
By the way,
see
give a
you.
hand to our beleaguered and underappreciated audiovisual staff. They're the real MVPs, the real heroes here. But okay, so while we're doing that, main hall staff, if you guys could start getting some questions lined up. Everybody.